Hi, Lynn here from Destiny Fulfilled. I hope you're doing well today. So my musings today is about life and duality within life, right? So a couple of days ago we heard that my sister-in-law's mother had passed away, which is very sad. She was a lovely, lovely lady, and we got along really well. And I think she will be very, very much missed by those who love her. But it got me to thinking over the last couple of days about how there's duality in life, and when everything's in balance at the end of the day. So we, a few months ago, we got some really good news that my son and his wife are expecting their first child. And, the joy associated with that and the excitement of that coming, it's just the little one's not due till the end of November. But, I've been thinking about, how life keeps going on. I've dealt with a number of deaths during my lifetime. All my grandparents have died. My mum's died. One of my best friends in the world died. Her daughter died. There was lots of stuff like that happen, and learning to deal with grief and sadness alongside joy and happiness is really difficult sometimes. And there's a duality to that. There's without the sadness, would we really understand how precious joy is? And without joy, would we ever get out of grief or sadness? Because we know that eventually things will ease a little bit. It takes a long time for pain like that to go away and for grief to dissipate to the point where you think it's bearable and you can go on with life as you want to do, I should say. So and if you didn't know that joy was possible, how long would you stay in that grief for? Because I know myself that I tend to be I tend towards depression. I don't get full-on depression all the time, but I tend towards that. And I know for me how easily it is once I've fallen into that, how difficult it is for me to actually pull myself out of it. And I have to constantly remind myself that there's joy around the corner. There has to be, right? Because there's a balance. Along with pain, there comes happiness. Along with sadness, there's happiness and joy and all of those sorts of things. So I've been thinking about that for the last couple of days and wondering, life is so hard at times, but it's also so very, very precious. I know that Patty, and that was the lady that passed the last couple of days, I know her, and that she would have given anything to continue living and being around those that she loved, and I think it's important that we celebrate those people in our lives who we love, who do pass on, and celebrate in a way that has meaning and can also give you closure. And then also open your heart to joy during those very dark times. Open your heart to the possibility that there is joy coming, because in time there will be. I remember the hardest death I've had to deal with was that of my mum. And I remember at the time thinking, what's the point? What's the point of all this when you have to go through all of this sort of pain? But then, little things creep in, and, little sparks of joy start to reoccur in your life. And then, sometime later, for me, it was about 3 years of going through very much ups and downs. But about 3 years later, I thought, I'm at peace with that now. I can let that go. To a point, I still have periods where I do get upset, and sorry, I do still get upset, but I do know that it's not going to last for long, and I won't be in that place for, you know, more than a few minutes now, whereas previous to this, it was a long time I would spend in those periods of grief. So, you know, it does get better slowly as you start to work through those emotions and start to let life back in, I guess. And that's a conscious decision, right? As you're grieving, you need to, well, I needed to, I should say. I needed to consciously push myself and make myself do things that were normal for me. And that was part of my grieving process and part of how I ended up moving through all of those different emotions that are associated with grief. And I think that another thing that's brought this on is that yesterday was our granddaughter's 8th birthday, and it was just, so one day we heard about you know, Patty dying, and then the next day was our granddaughter's 8th birthday, and she was so excited and so happy, and being around her and celebrating her birthday with her, and, you know, just being in that place of joy reminded me yet again that there is joy alongside pain. There is joy alongside sadness. It's there. It's just that sometimes you're not in a place where you can actually see that, right? And that's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal to be, especially if the person is someone that was, you know, essential in your life, or was you know, someone that you desperately didn't want to pass, you know. So anyway, they're my thoughts, and that's what I'm thinking about today. My first video is a bit all over the place, but anyway, I'm trying to gather my thoughts together, and it really is just on the duality of the extremes of emotions on both positive and negative sides is what I'm thinking about. And I'll continue thinking about that today, no doubt, because today is my dad's 73rd birthday. So again, another joyful experience that alongside that is not joyful and is sad. But that's life, right? And we've got to navigate this life as best we can. And for me, it's consciously reminding myself that there is joy around me when I'm not feeling it, even though I'm not feeling it, the joy is there, and I can consciously, and it's okay to consciously let that joy in. I don't have to be in a place of sadness completely. You know, it's okay while I'm in that place and mourning the loss of that person, that it's okay for me to also let that joy in and experience those happy times as well. For me, it was like I needed to keep myself in that place of sadness because I was honoring that person in a way. It's very complicated, but at the root of it, that was probably a thought that I had, unconsciously had a thought that I had, and it's taken a lot of work for me to work through and understand that that's not the case. I can honor them by also living my life and enjoying my life, you know, paying respect to them, remembering them, honoring them, and, you know, supporting the people who loved them desperately as best we can as they go through this process, and being more in balance emotionally. It's a tough thing to work out, but it's also what I've been working on for many years, is trying to get to that place where I'm more in harmony, not so much on the negative side of the scale of, you know, moods, and working through all of that. So anyway, short. I just want to keep these short and sweet. So that's what I'm thinking about today. They won't all be like this, obviously. It's just that this is what's in my life at this time, and this is what I'm dealing with. And I hope that this helps somebody along the way. And I hope that if this helps one person navigate the place from where they are now in sadness and grief to something that's just that micro cosmic place of more positiveness, because that's what it feels like, right? So it feels like maybe just a flicker of happiness in that place of darkness. If that can help one person while they're struggling with more darker emotions, then I'm glad to be able to do that. Anyway, we'll see tomorrow and see what I'm musing about then. We'll talk then. Bye.